Hello everyone, Link the Duelist here, back with another video on deck profile of Mementos. I recently refurbished this deck and took it out over to the boys' house, did a few duels with them, and it came out on top every time. It's very much not finished. It does need a bit more support. My final result of the deck is actually coming out for July, whenever the new fusion monster comes out, and the mystical sheep. But this, after those duels, I can definitely say this is one of my favorite decks to play so far. But with that out of the way, let's get into it. So first off, we have 3 Memento Darkblade. He is well, he's one of your starters, one of your 3 starters, I believe. And if he's normal summoned or special summoned, you can discard a Memento card. And you want your Mementos in the graveyard. So that's great. And then you can target one spell, trap your opponent controls, destroy it, and during the main phase, you can destroy 1 Memento monster you control, and if you do, special summon 1 level 3 or lower Memento monster from your deck. So, as long as you get him out, you can get your other starter out. The really important one, Memento Anguish. And, usually use him to bring her out, because she's your big starter. If this card is normal summoned or special summoned, you can add 1 Memento monster from your deck to your hand. Except Anguish, you can target 1 level 2 or lower Memento monster in your graveyard. Destroy 1 Memento monster you control, and if you do, special summon the targeted monster. So what you would do is, when you have her out, if you got her off of Darkblade or herself, you would search out this guy, Tatsu no Shigo. I just call him Seahorse. A Mentolin Seahorse. He is, like, I guess your Cyber Dragon-ish. If you do not control any face-up monsters other than Memento monsters, you can spell summon this card from your hand. And during the main phase, you can destroy 1 Memento monster you control and send any number of Memento monsters with different names from your deck to the graveyard, whose total levels are less than or equal to the destroyed monster's original level. He puts your Memento monsters in the graveyard, and yes, I am running 2. I understand you want to see him, but there is literally about 6, 7, 8 ways to get him on the field. With, you want him, but you don't need him that bad. Because that affects only once per turn. Up next is this is like one of the old starters. Mace. Got 2 of. And, she's one of your would be considered a hand trap if you have a Memento creation on the field. You can discard this card, then target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. Take control of it until the end phase. But the main effect is during your main phase, you can destroy one Memento monster you control, and if you do, add one Memento card from your deck to the grave to your hand. Another way to get out Seahorse. But you want him out because he puts most of your other cards in the graveyard. Then we have 2 Combined Creation. Yes, I run 2. I used to run 1 and it did not work out very well, so I run 2. Because if somebody, for example, several of the guys tried to banish this card, and then I just put another one in the graveyard and use that to get him out. And if you already have one in the graveyard and use another one, you can basically bounce that card back and forth once per turn. Then we have our Oneups. We have Creation, yeah. When you control no other monsters, you can make this card attack all monsters your opponent controls. Once each. Once per turn, if your opponent activates a card or effect, except during the damage step, you can spell summon one Memento monster from your hand or graveyard, which is where the bouncing part comes in, because I did do that during one of the duels. Came in clutch. But yeah, on to the Oneups. And if you do want to run Seahorse at 3, you can take out Mace. It's perfectly fine. A lot of people run Mace at 1 now. I run it at 2 and 2. Up next we have a Goblin, which he is the other hand trap whenever you have Combined Creation on the field. You can discard this card. For the rest of this turn, your opponent cannot target Memento monsters you control with card effects. During your main phase, you can destroy one Memento monster you control, and if you do, send up to 2 Memento cards with different names from each other from the deck to the graveyard. Usually I send Creation and Memento monster I'm missing off of his effect, but you will actually want to get him off of I believe it's Anguish. Yes. You would get Goblin off of Anguish with one of her effects, use his effect, put 2 more in the graveyard, and you got a Combined Creation. I did that several times in my duels against them. Then we got Memento and Gaddock. He can actually be special summoned from the graveyard if he goes sent there. Let's see, this card is normal summon or special summon. You target one Memento card in your graveyard, except Memento and Gaddock. Add it to your hand. If this card is sent to the graveyard by a Memento monster's effect, you can spell summon this card. So yeah, you'd bring him out, then you would probably bring out, or you would put in your hand, I'm guessing, either Goblin or Mace, because they are the only 2 hand traps. They are really 2 of the ones you only want in your hand. I guess you could want Darkblade and Anguish and Seahorse in your hands too, if your combo would get interrupted and taken down off the field. If they were to destroy everything on the field. But that's an if situation. It's completely up to you at that point. Then we got Memento and Horned Dragon. This guy's pretty cool. You can, if you have 3 or more Memento monsters with different names in your graveyard, you can spell summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon Memento. Then Horned Dragon once per turn this way. If this card on the field is destroyed by card effect, you can target 3 face-up cards on the field. including a Memento card you control, destroy them. So he's good for popping if you happen to have another Memento on your field. Which, if he's on the field, you probably do. Then, this is a personal attack of mine, but he recently came out in the new pack. Volabarial, the Dragon Undertaker. This deck is really good at destroying itself and your opponent, so I figured why not? He's an illusion monster. But if this card battles a monster, neither can be destroyed in battle. During the main phase, if a monster your opponent controls is sent to the graveyard, you can activate the following effect based on where this card is at activation. But you can only use each effect of the Dragon Undertaker once per turn. If it's in your hand, you can special summon this guy in 3000 beat stick. And if he's already on the field, you can make one effect monster your opponent controls lose 1500 attack. And if its attack becomes 0 by this effect, you can destroy it. So I actually summoned that card out almost every duel I did. And it came in clutch every time. Don't think they took it off the field once. But up next we have 3 Ash Blossom. Don't believe I need to explain that one. We have 3 Droll and Lockbird. And then we have 2 Effect Veiler. For the hand traps. And that is it for the main deck. Or not the main deck, sorry. That is it for the monsters. Now up is the spells. We have 3 Memento and Bone Party. Destroy 1 Memento monster in your hand or face-up field. Take 1 Memento monster from your deck with a different name. You add it to your hand or special summon it in defense position. During your main phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard. Then target 1 Memento monster you control. If it attacks a defense position monster this turn, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. So not only is it good for getting certain cards out, other Memento monsters out, I do believe it works even on Combined Creation. And it also allows you to do piercing damage. So if your opponent has a big defense and you bring out Combined Creation, it's the only monster in your field, and you activate that effect and hit them for game, basically. Then we have 3 Memento Infusion. This is probably one of the very first archetype fusion cards that lets you generic fusion. But during the main phase, you can summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as material, including a Memento monster. If a monster in your possession was destroyed by a card effect this turn, you can also shuffle Memento monsters from your graveyard into the deck as material. During your main phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard, destroy 1 monster you control, and if you do, add 1 Memento spell or trap from your deck to the hand. So it does a lot of good things for the deck. It's great. Up next, we have the field spell. I do not know how to say that. But it used to be played at 3 with a terraforming, but ever since you got some more support, we don't really need too many of them. But it is still a good card, so you're going to win in the deck. Basically, it works as a negate whenever you go into the battle phase. I can think of another deck that kind of does this. It's Lunalights. But they have an effect in there where if you're in the battle phase, your opponent cannot activate spells or traps until the end of the damage step. If a monster you control is trying to battle a card effect, you can target one of those monsters, spell summon one Memento monster with a lower level from your hand or graveyard. You can only use each effect of this field spell once per turn. Once per turn during your end phase, you can target one Memento, spell or trap in your graveyard and set it. That's good for putting your traps back on the field, considering you only run one of each normally. Up next, we have Bone Back. Not a lot of people run this. I don't know why, because it turbos out a Memento creation. Combined creation. Face up, Memento monster you control leaves the field because of an opponent's card. Spell summon one mental combined creation from the hand or deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. If your opponent moves a Memento monster out of your graveyard while this card is in your graveyard, so basically if they try to banish something in your graveyard that's a Memento monster, for example, Called by the Grave, they don't want you bringing out Combined Creation. You can banish this card, special summon as many Memento monsters as possible with different names from your hand and or deck. So if they end up getting your Combined Creation, you can special summon all those guys out and go into your link plays and fusions and all that, and XYZs maybe. But next up we have Super Poly, because it works. Shouldn't need to explain that one. For some draw power, we have Pot of Prosperity. Then we got Called by the Grave, Harpy's Feather Duster, and Raigeki, because I like to run those in almost basically every deck. Unless the deck has a lot of good field popping and back row destroying. But that is it for the spells. So we go to the traps. First up we have 3 Imperm. Shouldn't need to explain that one. Then we have Fracture Dance. Not too many play this card. If you control a Memento monster, you can target one card on the field, destroy it. Then if you control Combined Creation, you can destroy one more card on the field. When an attack is declared involving your Memento monster and an opponent's monster, you can banish this card from your graveyard. All monsters your opponent currently controls lose 1,000 attack until the end of this turn. I honestly don't know why you wouldn't play it. Unless you're trying to minimize the deck down to 40 exactly. A lot of people do that. I like 45, 46, and a little bit below. It's pretty rare for me to do 40 card decks. And then we have the best trap in the archetype, Cranium Burst. Well, you control a Memento monster, your opponent's monster that can attack must attack the Memento monster you control with the highest attack. Their choice if tired. When your opponent activates a monster effect on the field, except during the damage step, you can target one Memento Combined Creation you control. It loses exactly 1,000 attack and defense, and if it does, negate the activated effect. So not only is it a negate, It is a card that forces them into attacking your strongest monster if you have it on the field. But that is it for the traps. On to the extra deck. The extra deck is extremely toolbox right now, except for a few cards. Like these guys. We do have 2 more fusions coming in. Or no, 1 more fusion, sorry. That we know of. All this card requires is 2 Memento monsters, which is great. And any monster destroyed by battle with your Memento monster is banished. So, Dark Law, right there. You can only use each of the following effects of Memento and Twin Dragon once per turn. If this card is fusion summoned, you can destroy 1 Memento monster in your hand or face-up field, and if you do, add 2 Memento monsters with different names from your deck to your hand. If this fusion summon card is destroyed, you can spell summon 1 level 6 or lower Memento monster from your graveyard. That's pretty good. Then we have Garua for the double attack or double damage dealt and the draw power. This guy for... I don't really use his effects unless, of course, I brought out Dracus Tapilia first. But you just need 3 dark monsters, a fusion monster, and a dark monster. So Super Poly targets. Yeah, another Super Poly target. Actually came in clutch 1 duel. Then Mud Dragon in the Swamp, another Super Poly target. And after that, it's mainly toolbox. But the ones I have used pretty effectively in the deck, you got the Dark Charmer Gloomy. I've used him at least twice. You got Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. Did come in handy. Then we have Blackluster Soldier, because you can run it in the deck, so why not? Then we have Mech Knight, Crusadia Avernaki. Great card, not really necessary. You can put past, like, I'd say Underworld Goddess. All this is just random toolbox I slapped in. The rest of it will be replaced once I get the other cards I need, like Cross Sheep and Guardian Chimera. But then we have the 3 Topologics that are not banned. Yeah, one of them that is. But yeah, other than, if you're on the Super Poly version, I would definitely run at least one of these each with a Guardian Chimera. The rest of them are basically toolbox. But that is it for the deck profile. This deck is very cool. I do definitely recommend it. If you did not get it before the new support drop, though, I am very sorry, because your wallets are going to be hurting. The prices went up a little bit. By a lot of bit, sorry. But it is a great deck to invest into. It's still getting new support, which is great to know. I love how it has the retrains of all these old monsters. That's one of the coolest things about it. And they're all bone creatures based on some kind of... It's on some kind of culture. I don't remember what it's about, which culture, but it's pretty cool. But yeah, I hope hope you like the profile. I hope I was able to explain it pretty well. But yeah, that's it for the video. Please like and subscribe, and Link the Duelist out.